What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus, Week 6 college football betting recap and Week 7 look ahead. I'm Stuckey, and with me, as always, is Collin Wilson. Agree or disagree with the decision to go for 2?
Absolutely, 100% agree. I think we're going to hear that in the voicemails. This was one of the best college football slates as far as how games ended I've ever seen. I mean,
crazy.
When you have Michigan and Nebraska that went down to the end and ended like you and I predicted, and me preaching to everybody, do not take 2.5, make sure you get 3. I mean, there was at least 7 games came down to the wire, and there was so much.
All the high-profile ones.
The high-profile ones, and there was so much in this sandwich that we didn't get to how close UTSA and Western Kentucky was. So, I mean, it was just a loaded slate. It was beautiful.
But I was just telling Collin before we started recording that at our bar last night, the bonding experience with LSU fans, about like 15-20%, they were awesome. And they by the way, my wife, I tweeted a picture of my wife in an LSU jersey. Like, they were somehow, these LSU fans got all the bartenders, they got everyone to have the LSU jersey swapped. And then, like, behind the bar, all the people were wearing LSU jerseys. I was like, this is weird. But the bonding experience over Alabama losing to a walk-on quarterback was awesome because, and this is why I was yelling at everyone. Well, number one, Alabama lost. Everyone always loves that. But Kentucky beats Georgia next week, the number 1 team in the country. Just saying. And I was mainly excited because Alabama under 11.5, baby. As I said before the year, Alabama loses at Texas A&M. Never thought it was actually going to happen this week, but it did.
Yeah, if you want to know something funny about, that Texas A&M, that freshman walk-on freshman quarterback, his name is Blake Boast, I tweeted out, imagine going to the Port Neches Groves prom a couple months ago, and now you're about to take your first ever college snap in a tied ball game against Alabama. His dad found that tweet and favorited it. So
no way.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
I mean, it was yesterday was unbelievable. I can't wait to dive into these voicemails.
Yeah. About that game, like, I pride myself. I mean, obviously this is what I do for a living. I pride myself on knowing every roster, and like, it's Alabama, Texas A&M, right? Like, I should know the Texas A&M backup quarterback. So Calzada goes down, and then a random Twitter follower I met that night goes, who's coming in now? And I said, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Has to be a freshman. I just know there was 2 freshmen that were competing, and then it comes up walk on. I'm like, wow. And then Jimbo let him throw, and that was wild. A lot of alcohol was consumed in it sounds like in Lexington and in Tulsa, where you are, and in pretty much everywhere across the country, it sounds like. By the way, you want to do best call, worst call, bet regret now. My best call by the day was obviously New Mexico State. Plus 31, touchdown on the last play of the game, the cover. I looked at that game, and then I said, nope, it's done. I don't know where it was on TV. It was, it was late. It was like 1:30. And then I just got a notification of the check mark, and I said, what? But I'll go best call. Honestly, it wasn't even that great of a bet, but it was Oklahoma. Just everything went against them. Talked about how their offense was going to be back. They had almost 700 total yards. Their run game finally got unleashed. And I don't know what's going to happen with Spencer Rattler. He might end up transferring. I think he's going to wait to see if he's named the starter or not this week. But yeah, we'll go Oklahoma, best call. Worst call? Actually, you know what? Best call. So I got to call you out. My best call was Navy. Stop fading Navy as 2 touchdown. We love the troops. 2 touchdown underdogs. Who's Navy play next week? If they're plus 14, you know what? Right when it opens up, come through in the app. Maybe plus 14.
That game ended 7, and there was some sort of bullshit TD in there, right? There was like a defensive pick 6 in there, so
doesn't matter to me. Navy plus 14 all day, every day. Worst call of the day. I'm gonna go Iowa, and they covered. Go Iowa. I mean, I feel really bad. I would just want to bring this up because I feel bad for Penn State backers. Watching that game early, I'm glad you got your over. I got my Iowa, but I had the under at under 42. midway through the second, I say, all right, I'm just rooting for the under now. I was done. And then Clifford gets hurt. And I know that he had 2 picks. He wasn't killing it, but he was moving the offense. And they run like a very complex offense. So I told everyone, I said, we're betting Iowa second half. We just got to confirm that Clifford is out. And then it was obviously disaster. Like that one drive when Roberson, I forget his Roberson, I think, he came in. Like there was like 3 false start penalties in a row. And then you like coming in that environment in a complex offense, just a tough situation. So I really thought that Penn State was going to cruise to that victory until the Clifford injury. So it was nice to be on the side of some Iowa voodoo. Iowa podcast, baby. Any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I'm happy for the over. I mean, I said the key number was 41, and that's where you want to start looking at the over. But I mean, there were no touchdowns. I thought it was easily going to cash, and there was no touchdowns in the second half whatsoever. I think, the Iowa offense, we gave him credit on the podcast, and it's legit. It actually has an identity now. It's not something that was suffering from a passing perspective or a running perspective. I mean, Goodson is fantastic, and Petrus has got 5 targets that he loves, and he's just going to hammer over and over. And Penn State was playing a clean ball game, and Sean Clifford was, playing a clean ball game. And who knows what Penn State could have been this year without that injury. I'm not going to sit here and get on the whole, there was all these turnovers for Iowa. It's almost expected. Or, they punted to the 1 yard every time. It's almost expected. But that's what an Iowa box score is these days. So glad I got the over. But Penn State now is a team that had really played or had a really, really good season, and losing Sean Clifford, we'll see if they're going to be able to respond.
By the way, North Carolina, how terrible is that team? Lost by 10 at home to Florida State. That North Carolina-Miami game next weekend, what a game that one's going to be.
There's a bunch of Sam Howell Heisman tickets being thrown in the trash the last 2 weeks.
Put that game on Fubo TV. What is that app? Like Miami, North Carolina? Flow Sports. Bet regret for me. I have to get in front of it and say it. UTEP. Yeah, and we're gonna hear from them. I actually don't know, but I assume.
I'm not gonna make excuses. Probably worst call. I mean, worst call I had written down was Southern Miss. I couldn't figure out why UTEP was -2 on the road, and then I saw Southern Miss's walk-on freshman quarterback about how bad of a situation that was. But maybe the worst call on the day was LSU. I know Kayshon Boutte was carted out. I know Ollie Gay on the defensive line was out of that game early with an injury. I'm staring at Kentucky's numbers here. A 72% success rate in standard downs. They averaged 7.5 yards in standard downs. I mean, Kentucky just ran all over them. And this passing offense, I mean, I give credit to Kentucky. I mean, LSU passed 42 times. They didn't even meet national average in success rate. It had no bite to it. Only 3 passes over 20 yards. And LSU's in deep trouble. So, bad call by me going in on LSU. I thought it was a good spot after Kentucky had the big win over Florida.
Not a single person from Baton Rouge that I talked to last night said that Beto's not done. It was just a matter of is he done this week, or is he just a lame duck through the end of the year? But I think that was the last hurrah for the Ed O show. One of the most exhilarating covers I've ever had in my life, because my state of mind was last year in overtime. I was like, I cannot do overtime, Texas, Oklahoma again. So I said, give me the field goal. And then he breaks it. And then once he committed, he had to go, because you go down, the clock was going to run out. Kennedy Brooks, I love you, man. And then you called that. Look, I called the offensive line, running game, and then you were like, give me the kid in there. And at the first play he came in, he ran for 70-yard touchdown. Amazing game. That Oklahoma would look dead, and then that switch, and it was awesome. Awesome game.
I don't even know how to unpack that Oklahoma game.
We'll give. I'll let you kiss up to your guy Sark for a little bit in a second, but I'll say that Texas, I think, is on the right track to being back. They found Worthy. What a day. I didn't think that he was capable of doing that. The OU defense obviously has problems on the back end. Texas took advantage. Texas has an offense, man. I mean, all they need to do is figure out the defense, and they have the coordinator to do it. It's the third coordinator and third defensive coordinator in 3 years. Give them time. Now, hopefully, Sark doesn't bring in a new defensive coordinator next year, which I don't think he'll do. But give that defense time. The offense is there. Texas is going to be back soon.
Probably the most crystal clear projection I've made the entire season was to say that the Texas defense was going to be the difference here and struggle, and that Caleb Williams was the difference maker and the reason why I'm betting a lot on OU and why I doubled up when Spencer Rattler, by the way, who finished up 31% success rate in passing. Spencer
with an awful fumble that
with
almost cost him the game.
Yeah, early turnovers. And you saw a live bet come in on Oklahoma, even though I'd already bet Oklahoma. I was ready to get in more because I knew the Caleb Williams wave was going to come. And when I look at these numbers, oh goodness, Texas defense. I mean, yards per play, Oklahoma was 9.1 yards per play when they ran the ball. They ran the ball and averaged 9.1 yards. So Stuckey was right about the run blocking, about the running backs. They took off. And listen, we were right on the handicap about Texas.
What was their total yards? What did they finish? 698 or something?
Yeah. I could
they hit 700. Did they hit
662 total yards? 662 total yards. I mean, it's just
in regulation, no overtime this year.
In regulation, no overtime. And when I look at Texas's offense, I gave Sark all the love on the podcast and said Casey Thompson all the love and that I believe in them. And in standard downs, they average 9.4 yards per play. That's insane. What is wrong with Oklahoma's defense? You allowed Texas 9.4 yards. So yes, the Sark offense is on fire. They had a third.
They see a first down every standard down.
Yeah. So the national average for explosive drive percentage is 12%, like 1 or 2 possessions per game. A third of Texas's possessions were explosive drives. They were out of their mind great on offense yesterday. It's just that Caleb Williams was the difference. And listen, just to unpack everything that's going on with OU, because I don't know where we're going with this. I mean, we're still undefeated. It's still national championship and all this. But you look at Spencer Rattler's numbers yesterday. I mentioned 31% success rate throwing, only 112 yards, an INT, and then coming out and then coming in for that 2-point conversion, rolling him out and not letting Caleb Williams run that 2-point conversion. And then at the end of the game, if you didn't check Twitter, didn't know what was going on, Holly Rowe tried to interview Caleb Williams and apparently had him teed up. And Lincoln Riley said, no, you are not allowed to talk to Caleb Williams. And Holly Rowe had to apologize to Caleb Williams, said, I can't give you a post-game interview. So I don't know what Lincoln Riley's deal is with Spencer Rattler. Just let him go. Let him go. I don't know what the depth is behind Caleb Williams, but why are we protecting Spencer Rattler so much? If the entire team hates him because of the NIL deals and because of the prima donna attitude, which is all just assumption here, I'm not saying that exists.
Yeah.
But if that's going on,
say the same stuff. He parties too much.
Yeah, get him out.
I watched QB1. Him, like Tate Martell, they seemed like just spoiled in a way. Like you had guys like Sam Hartman, Justin Fields, who made it. Like they just seemed level-headed and humble. And you can't have if you say Rattler's not the guy. This is the guy that was Heisman height, #1 pick. You can't have him on the sidelines if he's not going to, encourage the new starter and encourage his teammates. It would just be a cancer to the team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week. They host TCU, who finally figured it out too. So interesting game we'll talk about later this week. Moving on. Thank you, Zach Calzada, who played well somehow, but he didn't win the game. The walk-on won the game. I don't know. It's a game I'm going to watch this week. I was just watching it casually and then started paying attention. I was trying to watch Nebraska and Tech, and then I was like, wow, this Texas A&M is real. And then I was looking at the numbers. I was like, wow, Calzada must be playing well. I got to go back and watch it. I don't know what happened to Alabama. We'll have to unpack that one. But I was happy Calzada came through for Alabama under 11.5. I was rooting on the kid and then the walk-on.
Yeah, this is I was going to save this for my best call. So my best call, on the BBOC live show, I took Alabama, Texas A&M in the first half over. They had 24 points after the first quarter. And it was really just, you're not going to do a grind of a game with Brian Robinson. You're going to go to the air and let Bryce Young sling it. And I had no clue that Zach Calzada was going to help us out, get that first half over. So Texas A&M had an answer for everything. Shane,
can you give us a box score? What happened? What?
Yeah,
It was a box score recap. Did Texas A&M deserve to win the game?
I mean,
Like success rates, what happened?
yeah, I mean, from a post-game win expectancy, Texas A&M finished up 58%. So they should have won the game. If you look at things like, like standard downs, Texas A&M was a yard better than Alabama over, 41, 61 plays. If you look at the stuff rate, Texas A&M was actually stuffed on 40% of their runs by Alabama. That is way above national average of 30%. So Alabama did a good job of stopping the ball, but it really came down to, I mean, Texas A&M had explosive drives. Like they haven't had that all season. And I think that the handicap that I made after the New Mexico game and against Arkansas was that Texas A&M has Spiller, A-Shane, Demas, all these explosive weapons, and that Arkansas is going to have a hard time with all these different weapons. And Calzada could not hit the broadside of a barn. That's changed, and I don't know if if the light flipped on or if he just had a hot
that's what's going to happen when you're a freshman starting quarterback, and Texas A&M runs a complex pro style offense, right? Like that. At one point, you say, "All right, I'm comfortable now." Did I see it coming against Alabama? Absolutely not. But yeah, like you're going to improve over time. You're going to get used to the offense. I was like, he's terrible right now, and he will be terrible until further notice. Now he proved that he might not be. But I think he's done for the season now. So I hope that he's okay, right? He got injury looked bad. It looked like a bad knee injury. But yeah, there comes a point where we saw it with Trevor Lawrence, right? Like looks a little more comfortable now in the NFL. We saw it with Justin Fields. The Bears had 40 total yards in a game. The next week he won and looked more comfortable. Like there comes a point where you're a new offense, you're a rookie or a freshman, you'll look more comfortable. Having it happen against Alabama, I mean, okay, that's pretty impressive. So good for Calzada, and I hope he's okay.
And I think something else with Texas A&M too, like the turnaround, like when they played Arkansas, and my handicap was, A&M has all of these explosive resources. Aeneas Smith was hurt that game and didn't get it was a non-factor, and Jalen Wiedmeyer, he wasn't even used. And last night against Alabama, 10 targets for Aeneas Smith, 6 targets for Jalen Wiedmeyer. They both led the team. They are now this is a fully functional offense that I expected to see 2 or 3 weeks ago. But the offensive line that you and I talked about that had so many injuries and problems, they stood up at least against Alabama. And, now the top targets on the team are actually getting their share, and Calzada's got in rhythm with them. The handicap that I had a couple of weeks ago, it's finally here. It was stalled. So
by the way, extend Scott Frost. All that man does is cover games. I don't care if they lose every game by 1 for eternity. As long as they're catching over a field goal, I'm on them. They covered for us. I hope you had a good number. Typical Nebraska game. I wasn't even mad. All the mistakes are. I was like, all right, I expected this. It was nice. It was refreshing. I was like, all right, they made a special teams mistake. Cool. Expected it. Turnover. Cool. Expected it. And we had to overcome it. And they did, and they covered. So
Adrian Martinez once again fumbles the ball on what could be a game picked up, and the opponent is able to kick a field goal. And I think this has become so expected. You and I were on the BBOC live show yesterday, and I told everybody Nebraska's fallen to 2.5. Do not buy that. Do everything you can to get a 3.
You said buy that. Buy it to 3.
Buy it to 3. Absolutely, because this has become so predictable. But hey, Corn is covering, and I got a little secret for everybody, although this podcast is going to come out after the lines. Nebraska's going to be a favorite going to Minnesota, like -1.5, -2. So this ought to be quite interesting week of betting.
Buy it to 3.5. Pay -300. By the way, I am happy that Western Kentucky, this happened, every bettor knows this, that Western Kentucky lost because they're down 6 late with the ball, and they ended up throwing a pick late. It can't cover -3. So I'm rooting against you. You better not win by 1 if I have you -3. But that was a wild game. Meep go to the college football playoff? Meep and UTEP in the college football playoff? Who knows this year?
Listen, this is the same handicap that we had Western Kentucky against Army. They can't defend the rush whatsoever, and I knew Army was going to go up and down the field, and I was impressed that Western Kentucky was able to respond and get enough points in the second half to catch up. But the defense is progressively getting worse with the amount of over 30 points allowed to Indiana, a team that was offensively struggling, Michigan State doing whatever they wanted offensively, and now UTSA, 65% success rate on running plays. They were only stuffed in 5 of 37 rushing attempts, Western Kentucky, one of the worst rush defenses in the nation, but they respond. They're 69% in standard downs, and they're 52% in passing down success rate. They are an offensive juggernaut. They came up short here. A team like with Frank Harris and UTSA and Sincere McCormick, when you have a ground and pound like that, Western Kentucky is going to be playing catch up all day long. Now, they're not out of this Conference USA race. They're still exciting on offense, but man, the defense is progressively getting worse.
I think I would bet Auburn again. I don't know. I thought Bo Nix was fine. The drops were just, the swings in that game on the drops were huge. Georgia's the best team in the country. I've been saying that all year. I don't know what you want more love for Georgia. Look, I got them to make the playoff. I got them to win a national championship. I think they're the best team in the country. Go Dogs. Like I'm with you, bro. I took a number on Auburn and a couple drops. Bo Nix numbers looked a lot worse than they were. But congrats to them.
I mean, I took 16.5. It closed 14.5. Okay. And I mean, I projected it at like 12.5, 13. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and rattle the closing line value trash can. I don't care about that. But there were points that were left out on the board. There was a turnover that resulted.
And it was all that. It was still 24-10 going into the fourth. It was like, okay,
yeah, 24. Like, and Bo Nix should have had points on the board at the end of the second quarter before halftime. I mean, that robbed of a touchdown there. There's a missed call by the officials completely on hold. They were holding the wide receiver down. Smoke Monday got ejected early.
Monday was a huge loss.
I mean, that one and I tweeted that out. I said, listen, this is a different game now that Smoke Monday's not there. Stetson Bennett started taking shots down.
Same.
So I don't regret betting 16.5 on open for a closing of 14.5 on a number that was already inflated on Georgia. Now I can say this.
Stop running the ball against Georgia is what I'll say. Stop trying. They're the Bucks.
Well, what's Kentucky going to do?
Throw the ball.
That's
you have to throw the ball. They're going to lose, is why.
Kentucky, that spread's going to be 21.
They ran it 29 times for 46 yards. Auburn, why are you running the ball 29 times? Don't. They averaged 1.6 yards per rush or something. I don't even know the official stats, but I think they ran for under 50 yards and had like 30 carries. So, stop. Just stop trying. People have figured that out with the Bucks. Like, just don't try to run. But congrats to Georgia. It was a great weekend of college football. Like, going in, I was like, this slate isn't great. But whenever you think that with college football, it always delivers. Before we get out of here, let's go 3 and out. All right, it's an exciting announcement. Tuesday night football.
Yeah.
We are back. We've just like one Thursday game, a couple Friday games, but we are back with Thursday night football. But at the time that we're recording this, there's no lines out right now. All right, on Tuesday, we have a team that I get messaged a lot about because we have the season win total under, and they keep escaping with ridiculous wins, and that's the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. We won't say his name, the head coach. They host Appalachian State. What do you project? Where are we going to be? Because you know where I'm going to be. I'm going to App State, the revenge from last year. The coach that we won't name on the sidelines. I've loved what I've seen from this App State team this year. This Louisiana charade ends on Tuesday night at Cajun Field, and I'm so excited to bet college football on Tuesday. What do you got here? What do you project?
So the projection is going to be App State -2. On the road, which I believe will take an unbelievable amount of Louisiana money. I have yet to see other power ratings, but I'm pretty positive they're all going to be on the side of App State -2 or App State -3. As we record this on Sunday morning, there are major discrepancies in the advanced analytics, believe it or not. First off, let's start off by saying App State is top 20 in special teams, and Louisiana, of course, sloppy outside top 90. So big difference there. App State is 12th in the nation in finishing drives on defense. Not a strong point for Louisiana once they get past the 40-yard line. They have not been within the top 50 of getting points on the board. And more importantly, Chase Bryce seems to be healthy for this game. So there's going to be a lot of running attack, 57% in App State's side. And then their top 30 in passing success rate. These are going to be problems for this Louisiana defense, which has gotten progressively worse this year. 117th in line yards, 96th in coverage. But bottom 10 in the nation, Louisiana is in tackling grading, which means that App State's going to be able to bust some explosive plays, which they have been able to do this year on the ground. Flip it side, the other side, Louisiana, you look at what their strong point is. A balanced attack with Levi Lewis going on. Really, they've turned into all explosiveness. I mean, they're outside the top 16 success rate on the ground and through the air. They really rely on explosive plays, but I cannot get behind a team who I'm staring at with Louisiana, where they are 126 on defense in defending pass explosiveness. They're 114th in passing down success rate. This has App State written all over it. I believe, now I might not hit this on open, because I believe there will be a lot of Louisiana love in the market for being a home underdog in this. So I may wait for an App State number. I think people like me are going to want App State, but I think when the general public sees Louisiana at home as plus money, got to get into that. So I'm going to sit on this number for a while. I will not be hitting the
App
open.
State. It's App State for me. Unless App State is over a 3-point favorite, they get their revenge here. If you recall last year, they missed this Louisiana team runs like gods. It's going to end soon. I think App State missed a 30-yard field goal to force overtime. Mm-hmm. Team that owned Louisiana. They've had this one circled. Yep. All right. Second down. Let's go to Thursday night. You can go to actionnetwork.com and the Action Network app, and we will have a write-up for Georgia, Southern, South Alabama. But I will not ruin your Monday morning by talking about that game right now. The other game, we're going to find out if Collin is going to fade Navy again. Navy at Memphis. Thoughts?
Well, first off,
can we get Navy plus 14? Can they just put that line out again so I can bet it or no?
Well, before we get to that, I just wanted to mention that, the projected line on Georgia Southern South Alabama is going to be about South Alabama minus 2.5. They're number one in the nation in line yards, number one in the nation in defensive rushing success rate, and Georgia Southern triple option team. So keep that in mind. As far as Navy and Memphis,
I can't wait to see your Memphis pick come through the app.
Oh my gosh, the number is going to be so high. Memphis projected, Navy Memphis is going to be Memphis minus 8.5 projected. No lines have come out yet at WynnBet, but this is going to be a Navy.
Give me 14. Just give me 14 again.
The Memphis defense is terrible at defending the rush.
Will you bet Navy if the line comes out 14? Will you commit to that?
14.5, I will. 14.5, I will. These numbers are disgusting. I don't know. What are you staring at that you love so much, right? Like this, I'm looking at these numbers.
Two things. 14, Service Academy. That's it. There's no handicap. It's that simple.
Navy,
you're trying to handicap Navy. You can't.
Navy is dead last. Navy is Service dead. Academy. Listen, Navy's dead last in PFF grading and coverage. What do you think Memphis is going to do with that quarterback? They're going to the air. If I'm the quarterback next week and Navy's plus 14, I'm betting on myself. Listen, Memphis is top 10 in passing success rate on offense. Navy is dead last in defending the pass.
Don't know what to tell you. If it's 14, I'll bet Navy. All right. Before we get out of here, third down. This is, we go off the voicemails on our recap episode on Sunday mornings. There's no script, so Collin never knows what the third down is going to be. Today, who right now, I'll give you a minute to think about it if you need a minute. If you had to say right now to put your life is on the line, you either get this right and you live, if you get it wrong, you die. Who are the 4 teams that end up in the college football playoff?
I'm pretty. Yeah, I've got it.
Georgia's in.
Georgia, Oklahoma, yep. Ohio State.
Okay.
Cincinnati.
Wow.
I don't know.
Zero love for UTEP. Sheesh.
Yeah, no love for Alabama either. We said that before preseason. Georgia's going to run over Alabama. But it'll be the interesting.
Yeah, Alabama now can still get in.
Yeah.
Like they have to beat Georgia, and then Georgia will still get in. And then then Cincinnati gets left out. Like that's what would happen. If Ohio State wins out, if Oklahoma wins out, Arizona State's the best team in the country, by the way. They're not, but I love saying that because I love that team. Everyone's starting to slowly come on my bandwagon. All right, Collin, thanks as always for joining me. Thank you all for calling in and sweating games with us all weekend. Not enough to do giveaways. Please subscribe, rate, review. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. Leave reviews. I want to give stuff away. We'll do it next Sunday. And appreciate all of you listening. It's time for us to go sweat some NFL while waiting for openers and get back to work to find some winners. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you all late Thursday night with the Week 7 betting preview. Make sure you check out our Group of 5 episode as well midweek. Those guys have been crushing it. And let's go find some winners, Collin. Talk to y'all later. Cheers.
Peace out.